Donald Trump's done many scandals like the Ukraine scandal, in which he's proven himself unfit to govern. You know, he's violated constitutional norms and violated the law in the process.
I feel Donald Trump has done pretty well for the country. Economically, we were doing great, and unfortunately, this whole China virus has really, it's just causing devastation everywhere.
You know, without the economic devastation caused by the coronavirus, this ultimately led to an economic collapse.
This is very true. But if we could just somehow contain it and we can bounce back strong.
Now here's a good idea here to bounce back strong. We could ultimately have government employment and plans for testing vaccinations against this COVID-19.
That does help, but how do you stop the rapid spread of it once schools open?
Having mask regulations as well as police to enforce these regulations and security cameras.
Those are some good ideas.
So,
what do you think about China taking over Spratly Islands, trying to dominate the ocean over there?
Well, one answer is that it'd be wrong for another country to just take over an island and use it for their own political gains.
Yep, I agree. And it seems like they're mainly using it for military gains.
You know, as president, I think that I would do a much better job than Trump, because one, I would actually be able to govern effectively based on what I've seen Trump doing, and two, I would also have a better way of dealing with foreign powers. Like, Trump always seems to believe he's foreign leaders rather than his own intelligence community.
Yeah, well, it's tough because everywhere you go you have corrupt politicians.
None of the other politicians could be trusted, but in my case, I'm not tied to any big businesses, meaning that I have a far greater chance of being trustworthy than most of them.
That is true. So who do you have that will back you financially?
Well, I'm doing this campaign on my own.
Okay.
Nobody's backing me financially.
Okay.
And of course, let's get on to my vice presidential pick of Joe Biden. What do you think of him?
Well, I feel like you could do better, as Joe Biden, he has been around for a while, has accomplished very close to nothing, and his mental fitness is clearly departing his brain.
Well, there are a few ways that we could handle that. One, first getting Joe an evaluation, and two, getting him some medicine if he needs it, and if that doesn't work, well, that would essentially he be away. Then it would be lost.
if you couldn't straighten out Joe Biden, who would be your next VP pick?
If I couldn't straighten him out, well then the backup VP pick would be he he my own father.
Oh, okay. And you're running as independent?
Yes, I'm running as an independent.
Well, it seems like you have thought about just about everything. I feel like you have a pretty good grasp on what you'd like to do in the future, and I wish you the best.
So what do you think of Louis DeJoy sabotaging the postal office?
Uh, I don't really know too much about it. I haven't really done my own investigating, but it just seems like it's going to be one thing after another, and they're going to continue to try to push the mail-in ballots, which I truly do not trust. I don't even trust putting $500 in the mail and mailing it to myself, because there's a good chance that it's not going to end up back to you. How many times do you get your neighbor's mail? Often. We get our neighbor's mail often. Ultimately, I think we need to keep the United States Postal Service. We need to keep funding them, and they're a key contributor for many small businesses and just citizens.
So so how do you think that these changes is DeJoy made, such as limiting the number of post machines, could affect the overall election?
Well, if we have enough voting machines around, I feel like everybody could manage to get out there and vote in person. They should, each spot should supply clean rubber gloves that you throw away after voting, and wear your masks and keep your social distancing. Um, I just don't see the absolute need for a mail-in ballot if you can go out and protest in the mass thousands.
Some people fear going to the post. Some people fear going to these polls in person.
I agree. There's many people out there that are already their immune system is compromised already. So yeah, they're going to have natural fears. So maybe in that case, maybe they register to vote, another way with the absentee ballots, or a mail-in ballot, or I would say online, but even that's kind of sketchy because you can still get into voting fraud.
And their votes might not get counted.
Right, well, that's going to happen if you do the mail-in voting. There's going to be mail-in ballots all over the place.
Well, chances are each mail-in ballot would come with its own barcode.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ideas out there. I just
So
don't see it.
so it would be extremely hard for foreign countries to counterfeit.
Postpone the election until the pandemic's gone.
Well, one way, if the election is postponed until the pandemic's gone, there would need to be an interim president.
I would say the vice president, Mike Pence, would, in that time, step up and run the country until the official election was complete. I'm not sure how. There's a lot to work out. I'm not sure how you do that.
So what do you think? What do you think? What do you think of the current political situation when it comes when it comes when it comes to when it comes to when it comes to the Russia inquiry.
Well, I'll say this: there has been too much division in this country. The whole, are you on the left? Are you on the right? We need to just unite, honestly, and put the people first in our country. Everybody is equal. We need to stop this bullcrap division. There's just too much division, and it's ultimately going to cause an eruption.
You know, the Electoral College could possibly put in unpopular presidents.
This is true. Yep.
So what are your thoughts on the Electoral College?
I feel like the Electoral College was established for a reason, and for right now, I guess it works.
So there are a few ways to improve existing health care, such as extend Obamacare to all citizens, and enhance Obamacare so that those with pre-existing conditions ultimately have insurance, or even should the law of Obamacare be challenged in court.
Well, I'm not really a huge fan of Obamacare, but ultimately I feel that every United States born and raised citizen should be able to pick out their own health care, and it shouldn't cost them an arm and a leg to where they can't even afford it, or if they do pay it, they end up falling behind on other bills, not having groceries, just getting sick and going to the doctor. If you don't have insurance, or if you break a bone, you end up thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in debt, and that just plagues your credit, and the whole credit system just holds people back, because there's good people out there that made poor decisions, and they end up struggling because of their action, decisions.
So what do you think of what do you think of all the news sources out there?
I feel like most of the mainstream media is owned by big corporate people, big people, and they all have if you click on all the stations, you see how they all say the same key words to try to brainwash us. You really have to go out there and look for yourself and try to dig up the facts for yourself and make your own conclusion. Don't let people tell you what it is.
There are some news sources like PBS that are neutral.
Yeah, PBS might be. I know Fox kind of leans towards Trump, but everybody else is against Trump.
So what do you think would be necessary in terms of what do you think would be necessary in terms of tax cuts for the common people, when tax raises for the 1%?
I feel like we shouldn't raise taxes. Taxes honestly are just robbing the hard-working Americans, and I will say we could take a little bit of money out of our military and defense spending and distribute that in different areas. I know we're spending I think it's 660 billion or 700 billion or trillion on military, which I know it is important to be the biggest, the best, the strongest, but some of that money could be relocated.
You know who taxes could be raised for? Big businesses.
Big businesses, yeah.
and the common everyday taxpayer wouldn't have to pay as much.
Yes, that's true, but it's it's kind of hard. Like, how do you just keep raising taxes? The answer can't just be keep raising taxes, because eventually taxes are going to be through the roof, and people aren't even going to be able to afford anything. But that's all the time I have for today.